Do you enjoy reading backgammon books? If so, keep watching because there's a new unique book called Rigged Dice that's a fantastic read. And the author, Mark Danburg-Wyld, joins me in this video to discuss it. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoy this video. Please like and subscribe, and you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, what you'd like to see in future videos, and I'll work on it. If you love backgammon, you can become a member of this channel, giving you exclusive access to the most popular videos. My book, Backgammon Backgame Strategies, is available. There's a link in the description of where you can get it. And if you're interested in lessons, please contact me via email. My email address is also in the description. Again, in this video, it's my great pleasure to welcome author of the new book, Rigged Dice, Mark Danburg-Wyld. Hello.
Hello, Alex. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thanks. Yeah.
I'm really excited to discuss your new books. I guess it's two books, so it's like a
Yeah.
pair, but it's like one two volume set, I guess. But I really enjoy reading about backgammon. I've read a lot of books, and I love reading, especially the new ones. So I'm very excited about this. This is a very unique book. So we'll be talking about this. I'd like to start with a little background biographical information, if I may, for the viewers to get
Sure.
to know you a little bit. So
Yeah.
please tell us where you were born and raised.
Yeah. So I was originally from Houston, Texas. My parents and my sisters both still live there. So kind of grew up in Texas, and but currently I live in Portland, Oregon. I've been in well, just outside of Portland, but I've been in the Pacific Northwest for the last 25 years. We moved up here in 99 and moved to Portland in 2014. So, really like it up here. It's a beautiful part of the world and yeah, a great place for us to raise our family.
And what made you move to Portland?
My wife, yeah. It's,
You have family
yeah.
there or work or?
No, no, it was just that my wife was in love with the Pacific Northwest from before I met her. We met when we were both in graduate school at the University of Texas at Austin, and she sort of informed me when we were still dating that if I wasn't willing to eventually relocate to the Pacific Northwest, that was a deal breaker for her. So I was, and
They make it difficult, don't they?
I said, well, you know what, leave Texas and the 5 straight months of 100+ degree weather. I don't know. I don't know if I can handle that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've no regrets.
I've never been to Portland, but I heard it's beautiful there.
Yeah, it is. It's very nice. It's we've got the mountains to the east, and we've got the ocean to the west, and it's very temperate and green and lovely through most of the year. So I mean, it rains a fair amount during the winter, but the summers are just absolutely gorgeous.
That's
So
great. So you're married and you have kids?
yes, I've been married for 33 plus years, and we've got two children. Two daughters. My older is a Montessori teacher, and my younger is a librarian at the University of Washington. They work in the math and science library system there.
Great. Congratulations. I have two kids. They're both young. They're both under 10, so I'll get
Okay.
there. I'll get there eventually.
Yep.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
kind of work do you do?
I'm an actuary. So, I got into actuarial science around the same time that we moved to the Pacific Northwest. Actually, I was mentioned I was in grad school at the University of Texas when my wife and I met, and I was working on a PhD in philosophy and cognitive science at the time. I eventually dropped out of that program, but and started taking actuarial exams and kind of never really looked back once I went corporate. But it's been a good career for me.
And now with that kind of a career, does that give you time to play backgammon or do other hobbies?
I'd say once you've got your credentials, then you have time. Yeah, that's actually kind of how I got into backgammon. I don't know if you're familiar with the actuarial field, but there's a series of exams that you have to go through to get your credentials, and I finished those around 2008, and then was just like, I've got a lot of energy now that I don't have to spend 20 hours a week studying to prepare for my next exam. And so I really need to find a hobby. So there was at the time there was an internet forum called the Actuarial Outpost that I was very active on, and they had a games and diversions channel that uh, somebody else had posted. Is like, what's a good game to get into if you don't want to do chess? And one of the replies was backgammon. And I remembered playing when I was a kid back in the 70s, like me and my siblings would play. And of course, we didn't actually know the rules, and we had our own little idiosyncratic kind of a way that we scored things and all that kind of stuff, and did various things that like are not standard now, of course, but it got me interested, and I was when I was off of work, I like to do a lot of like maker movement related kind of things, and I was a kind of a Linux geek at the time too, and so I was familiar with GNU Backgammon, GNU BG, and so when I saw that post, I was like, well, I'm pretty sure I've got that installed on my laptop, and I sure enough did, and started playing, and very quickly got very addicted to it, and then few years later, when we moved to Portland, I joined the local group and started playing with actual human beings, and eventually started to actually study and improve. So it's been a long process, and a lot of unlearning of things that I was just sort of doing for a decade before I started taking it seriously. So, but uh,
Yeah, but
anyway,
it's a great hobby. It's great
yeah.
for your mind. You said you learned it when you were a child. Did you ever get a chance to play with your children when they were growing up?
I've played a little bit with. I mean, my kids have humored me to learn the game and have played with me a few times. Um, I play on Daily Gammon a lot, and my younger will play with me on there sometimes. Like we'll do like a untimed match where we can just make a move or two every couple of days, kind of a thing. But they're not into it the way that I am, but they are willing to like play to kind of like spend a little time with the old man, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I'm
So
the same way. I play sometimes I'll play a game with my 10-year-old son, and then my 4-year-old daughter, she just likes to play with the checkers and roll the
yeah.
dice through the basketball. She likes the sounds, and she likes to slam on the clock and the different colorful stuff.
hmm
So it's great, it's great. So do you have any other hobbies and interests outside of backgammon?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm very into puzzles. I've been into puzzles my whole life. So like back in like 2004 when Sudoku was first kind of coming online, I actually um, wrote a computer program to generate Sudoku puzzles because I had like discovered them through like just a single newspaper article about how this was becoming a fad in England or something. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. And they had one. I was like, well, there's only one. So, and so I wrote a program that generated them and created a website that, I still have actually, sudokuplace.com produces Sudoku puzzles. Um, and lately I'm very into another kind of number puzzle called Kakuro that's, it's a lot of really good like number puzzles coming out of Japan. If you're not already familiar with that, and enjoy reading a lot. I spend a lot of time on that, listening to music, that kind of thing, and travel. I enjoy travel. That's one of the things since my kids have grown up now. It's really nice. It's something I kind of stole an idea from my mom. She used to arrange a big family trip, every other year or so, and it was basically a way of kind of like getting all of the kids to like come and spend time with her because we were going to do it in Hawaii or whatever. And so I've started doing that with my kids now too. So we've done some pretty massive trips to like Iceland or to Mexico, and that's a lot of fun to do.
Oh, that's great. I know a lot of backgammon players enjoy traveling, and now they have tournaments all over the world that people can enjoy traveling and playing. Do you ever get a chance to do that?
Oh yeah, I mean I travel to a lot of the ABT events throughout the year. So I'll be in at the Viking Classic in Minneapolis in another month or so here, and I'm planning on Denver and LA. And really had a good time in Miami last year. I haven't done any of the international ones yet. It's definitely on my bucket list. I'm, hoping to make it to the World Championship in Monaco next year. So so I've got ambitions around traveling more for backgammon. Yeah, one of the players in my club. I run the Portland Metro Backgammon Club these days, and one of my players got to play in the Osaka Open because he was just visiting Japan at the right time, not coincidentally. Like he planned that he would be able to do that, and I was like, I'm so jealous. I would love to be able to do that, but it's a so yeah, lots of travel ambitions in my future as well.
That's great. So I imagine you've been playing more seriously in the past 10, 20 years or so, and I imagine you've certainly improved. Uh, did you happen to read books on backgammon to help you improve yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I would say that uh, between books and YouTube videos are like the best educational resources well, and of course just playing XG with like with the coaching mode on. But yeah, I would I tell you that the first time that I went to the Vegas ABT event, and I got to play Paul McGrill in like a 5 point match for one of the blitzes, and that was such a, I was like, I can't believe how excited I was at that moment. I was like, oh my gosh, I get to like meet and play with somebody of that caliber, and I was not very good at the time. I have to say, I was probably playing around a 14 PR. I mean, but I got to play him, and I got lucky and actually beat him. So I had him sign the scorecard, and so I would have that to take home as a bookmark for my copy of backgammon. So but yeah, I've got a extensive library of backgammon books, and I've even read a lot of them. So,
That's good. It's funny you say that because I have a friend. She says she has all these books and she hasn't read a single one of them. It's like
yeah.
collecting them as collector's items. But you've read a lot. What would you say were the most influential for you in terms of learning?
So well, I mean, Backgammon by McGrill, of course. I would say Basics to Badass was probably the one that uh, started getting me a little more uh, like a lot of backgammon kind of went over my head when I read it, but Basics to Badass kind of got me oriented and moving in the right direction, I think. So Mark Olson's been like one of my favorite authors. I've got all of Michi's books. I found all of those extremely helpful. I'm still working my way through Dirk Schimann's theory of backgammon.
Yeah, that's the other one.
It's a fairly dense book, but I'm getting a lot out of it. But I can really only handle about a chapter a month, so it's.
It's hard. It's hard.
But yeah, so I mean, there's too many to mention, and really, but of course, your book is quite good as well. Once you
Mhm.
get into the material of it, but it's yeah. So I mean, yeah, there's just too many to mention. If you like to read, there's no excuse to not get better at
Yeah,
backgammon
that's
with the
funny.
resources out there.
So speaking of books, what inspired you to write a book yourself?
To be honest, the idea just came to me sort of in a dream. Like I woke up one morning and I had this concept of like I could do this puzzle book where all of the puzzles were interconnected so that it would be like a choose your own adventure type of a thing, and that you would open the book and it would be like playing a game. And I even had the title, Rigged Dice, that came to me as part of the initial idea. And then I thought about it for like 15 seconds. I was like, that will never work. Like the average game is, 20 plus moves. And so if you just taking like two choices per move, two to the 20th is well over a million. That's, there's no way that you could put that all into like a book that would, be like something you could even publish. So, but I started playing with the idea anyway, and did the first position, and then that gave me two new kind of open positions, the two different paths that you might take from there. Then I did those, and that gave me four new open positions, and Then I did those 4, and one of those already turned into like a double drop kind of situation, and so then I
So
only
the
had
narrative,
yeah,
yeah.
so then I only had 7 that I needed to deal with instead of 8, and I was like, "Okay, this might work, right? This might work." But I mean, for months, I was just kind of, like, stuck. I got to this point where I had, like, 50 to 60 open positions, and I would, like, work on it one day. I would get, like maybe I would do, like, 5 of them, and then I would be done, and I would have 50 to 60 open positions. And I would, like it just kinda kept going, and I was like eventually, I started closing more positions than I was generating each day, but um, it did take a lot of work to kind of, collapse things down so that, it didn't end up being, thousands of positions, so it was really kind of a leap of faith to think that it could even work, and it took me probably 9 months before I had the positive sign that, yeah, I will be able to complete this. So I'm very quiet about it, and I didn't really talk to anybody about it because I didn't want it's like saying, "Oh, yeah, I'm working on a perpetual motion machine or something." Like, "This is not gonna work." This is
Yeah, so
eventually, I was able to kind of pull it together, yeah.
for the viewers who haven't seen the book or not familiar with it, it's not a traditional book that you read cover to cover. It's kind of like, as you said, the choose your own adventure. So the way it starts is there's a position, and then you give the reader two choices, and if they select choice A, they go to one position, and if they choose B, they go to a second position, and they kind of keep doing that. So it's just like going back and forth through the book. And then there's two of them. There are two volumes. One is actually the positions here, and then the second one is the solution manual where you discuss the answers. Um,
Yep.
so so let's start with the title. How did you select the title of Rigged Dice?
Like I said, it came to me as part of the initial inspiration, but I was like, uh, thrilled with it, from the moment that I had the idea. It's obviously, you hear people complaining all the time about, oh, well, I can't play on that website. They've got rigged dice, or oh, this app cheats. It's got rigged dice, and it's kind of so it's just I thought that was hilarious. And so I thought it would be funny to like have a book where actually the dice are rigged. Yes, I literally did go through and each position select something that would make the next question hopefully a little bit challenging for you to think about what that was going to happen. So it was a so yeah, it literally did just come to me in a dream. I can't credit like my conscious mind for being that smart, but my subconscious came up with this. So
It was interesting to me when I heard about the title of the book because I don't know if you saw it, but I did a video called Rigged Dice, and
oh no, I haven't seen that one. Okay.
yeah, I'll send it to you so you can see it. Maybe I'll put a link in the description. But I have a friend, John Georgiou, who always says the dice are rigged, and another mutual friend, Tim Cross, who's a world famous expert, and I had the two of them discussing why the dice are rigged and this and that, and I did what did I do? I did a money session, XG playing against itself, like 1,000 games.
Hmm.
And like two different levels, like a stronger level and a weaker level, and the stronger level ultimately won. And then he was saying about how the dice were rigged, and I had all the data and the analysis. So that was funny. I when I
Yeah.
first title, I thought it may have been something to that effect, but it's not. It's a book about backgammon and playing it, and it's a lot of fun. So how did you decide on this type of format where it's not just like a cover to cover read?
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, that's the thing that I think is interesting. Like, I think that in terms of each individual position, like, I imagine that, like, a player of your caliber or, this is probably not a lot of them that you're, like, stuck on. But, that there's, I think that they were positions that, I found potentially tricky, or I could see somebody making that kind of a mistake. But and of course, I play around a 8.5, so it's but so like maybe it's a good challenge for an intermediate player or advanced beginner kind of a player, but the thing that was fascinating to me was this idea of like having an entire game kind of captured all in one document. So it's like all the possible ways that the thing could evolve. As people talk all the time about, oh yeah, well, I did made the right move based on the rollout n of one, right? It's the
Yeah,
um, uh, but so there's when you're playing the number of possible ways that a game can evolve is so enormous that it's kind of mind-boggling to if you think about it. But to try to have something where it kind of captures all the different ways that a game could unfold, and that the reader can go through and explore different paths through the game, and maybe that's something that's helpful for an advanced player as well. That's something to like kind of see how their decisions cause things to unfold over time, and be able to go back and really seriously run the what if I had gone a different way. Is kind of was that kind of the idea behind it. So hopefully it
yeah,
works for people. So
yeah, I think so. And you mentioned a number of different books, like Mark Olson's book or some of Michi's books are great for people that are just kind of learning the game. You mentioned Dirk Schieman's book, The Theory of Backgammon. That's not for everyone. That's only for people
mhm.
that are really, interested in the theory and things like that. Who would you say your target audience is in terms of the backgammon players?
Yeah, I think that it's probably targeted more towards like the people that are not yet playing at the open level, people that are playing in an intermediate or advanced bracket. But hopefully, that even people that are playing at the open level would find it entertaining, but they might not feel the need for the solution guide to say that's a part of the rationale. I know you it's mentioned in previous to this discussion, and you weren't necessarily thrilled about having to go to two different books to like to use it to study with. But it's so far about 80% of the people that are buying the main book are also buying the solution manual. So I think some people just want
Oh
it for kind
yeah,
of the game aspect. So,
I
but yeah.
wouldn't want to buy one without the other. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the people that want to use it as a potential study material. That's I wanted it to work for that, but it's yeah.
But it is good in the sense that it's like you don't have the answer on the same page as the question. It's a whole separate book that you have to actually open. So like
Mhm.
people can't cheat that way.
Yeah, one of the players in my club, as I brought it to the last meetup, and people were buying it, and one of them said, "Oh, I'll get the solution manual from you next time." But
Nice.
I know that if I had it, that I wanted to actually like do it. So I was like, okay, that's fair.
So we'll go through some positions, but again, in the primary book, it has the positions, and then you just basically select A or B. And if you select A, go to position this, and then select B, go to position that. And then in the solution manual, each one of those positions in numerical order, there's just an explanation. And one of the things I notice is you have the analysis, you have the data, and you actually use data from three different bots. There's XG, BG Blitz, and GNU BG. So, what made you decide to use all three?
Yeah, like I said, BG Blitz is kind of a newer one that that started using a little bit. The people that are on Daily Gammon kind of favor it because it is able to uh, import your match based on the URL of the match. So that's kind of a nice feature. But GNU BG was kind of the first program that I was familiar with, and it's um, I'm very skilled with that one. So like once I learned about the existence of XG, I started using XG. But uh, like I still have uh, GNU BG is the only thing that I have available on my Chromebook because it can run Linux, and I don't want to install a Windows emulator in order to install XG onto a Chromebook. That feels like too many steps. I should just buy a laptop. But and Like at my work computer from my prior job, I did have GNU BG installed on it, but I wasn't going to install XG on it. And so a couple of times I was like working on the book during my lunch breaks and things, I would only have GNU BG available. But then of course I would go back and check the positions in XG later, and it was interesting to see that sometimes they didn't agree, and just trying to think about like what was going on in those positions, I think was really interesting. So there are times that I think, XG is rating this move is pretty close to that move, and that's probably true for XG, but it's definitely not true for me. So it's like, you hear people talking about that a lot too, of saying, oh yeah, that's a bot move, or that's one that the computer would find. And I think that the fact that the computer can play it out equally well from either path is a little misleading, especially for like an intermediate level player. Make the play that you understand why that's the right move, and it puts you in a position that you know how to keep playing out, and that might be closer to GNU BG's analysis or BG Blitz's analysis than to XG's analysis. So I thought that it was it was certainly interesting to me as I was kind of like analyzing the positions to like think about why are the different bots coming up with different answers. And I think that there's actually maybe something a little deep there of like play the game that you understand how to play is maybe better advice than like memorize what XG would do. Even if you could memorize what the right thing is, but not know why it's the right thing, and that might still make it the wrong thing for you personally. So
That's interesting. I've started going through the book. I haven't gone through all of it, but I see obviously for basically all the positions, they're all going to disagree slightly. I mean, they might
yeah.
all agree on the top move, but the difference between the top and the second might be a little bit more, a little bit less in one
hmm
versus the other. Did you find any positions where there were significant differences between the bots?
Uh, Depends on how you define significant, but I mean, there are a few positions where two out of the three say it's a drop, and the third says it's a small take. So that's a pretty significant change in terms of like over the board thinking. But most of them tend to be yeah, like you said, they are all pointing in the same direction. It's just sort of how extremely they rate the different moves. So one would think it's a blunder, while the others think it's merely a large error, kind of a difference. But there are some situations in there where they literally invert which they think is the best move. And those I think are especially interesting to look at and think about.
Yeah, that's interesting, and I understand the analysis, at least from XG, was the XGR plus plus. Is that
hmm
correct? And then the other
Yes.
two were something similar, right?
Yeah, so it was, I believe it was 4-ply on GNU BG and BG Blitz both. But if I didn't put that in the intro somewhere, then shame on me. But I think that's right off the top of my
I
head.
think it is in the intro. I just
Yeah,
don't recall it.
yeah.
I wonder if you do a rollout for all three of them. Maybe that might change things. I don't know. Did you try that with any position?
Not really. No, it's yeah, just that. And but yeah, it is certainly a valid point that yeah, that's certainly any of the bots will on rollout give you a slightly more accurate answer than even their highest sort of pre-programmed level. So
Well, this is an outstanding book, and I highly recommend the viewers get it. I wanted to go through a little bit of the content of the book so viewers can get a sneak peek. Okay, so this is the cover of the book, Rigged Dice. And so, how did you decide on the cover image?
yeah, that was a journey in and of itself. So uh, actually played around a little bit with some of the like Chat GPT type programs to like generate some images and get some test some concepts. But then I ultimately ended up working with an artist that does a lot of uh, book covers, and I kind of gave him initially like 3 or 4 different ideas of like ways of playing with the idea. So like I had one where the dice were on like the arms of a mechanical device, and so they were being like swung around by gears and things, and one where it was like the ship's rigging. So the idea was like the dice were like the sails of a ship or something, and so but then the ones where it was just the dice were on a like marionette strings was the one that like looked the best from his initial concepts, and we went back and forth a number of iterations to get to this final layout. But I'm very pleased with the way it looks. I think it's pretty sharp, honestly. So, not to pat myself on the back too hard,
Yeah,
but yeah.
it's a great one. It's like when I was deciding on an image for mine, it was just like I took a photograph of my board, but now like the AI generated images can bring you other ideas. And
Hmm.
I recently spoke with Simon Barget, who recently published a book on the 7 point match, and he was telling me for his cover it was the AI generated when he did it. So it's great. It's great. I really like it.
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure. So we wanted to go through a few positions. So let's take a look at one of the positions here. So this is position 573, move 6. So here, white rolls 5-4, entering with the 5 and covering the blot on his 3 with the 4. You roll a 3-2. So just to introduce the viewers, it's always a money game. You're playing the black checkers at the bottom, the opponent, the white checkers at the top, bearing off on the right, and it's with the Jacobian beavers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. So here's a 3-2 to play, and then there are two options. So I'll let you discuss this.
Yeah, so I mean, this one I think is just. I'm not sure which path this is down. Like you probably made several blunders to get yourself to this point in the first place. But I would say that like looking at it, um, the thing that jumps immediately to mind is I've got to cover that blot on the 3. Um, and then the other thing that you might think is, well, I'm ahead in the race. I'm up 11 pips after the roll. So escaping my back checker is probably a priority. So if those are the two thoughts that you have, then you're probably going to pick option B of, just I'm going to cover the 3 point, I'm going to step up and prepare to escape. And that goes into my game plan of racing. But and I would say I'm certain that I've personally been guilty approximately 7,000 times over the board of doing that kind of move on just an instinctive, I've got to cover the blot kind of basis, and not even stopping to look at the hitting play of 8 to 5 and then covering the blot that way. Um, and no, not so if you want to go to the analysis, then I think we'll see that hitting and covering is actually the right thing to do here. It's the because it's the just getting the uh, uh, if you were trying to turn this into a racing game, then you're probably just a little bit ahead of yourself. Like there's just too much contact involved, and stepping up is just not necessarily really positioning you to have a winning game when white can just anchor or hit you loose on their in their home board with the stronger board. So it's really the threat of being hit, I think, is the main thing that you should be worried about. And so hitting and covering, uh, although there's some return shots if they happen to roll a 1, does at least slow them down from hitting you on their inside or trapping you more. And so that's got to be the right move.
Okay, so this is the analysis on XG. So this is what you were talking about.
Yep, and so yeah, and this one's kind of a classic for what I was trying to do with the book of having the two options that are given be the first and the second best moves according to the bots. But that the second option is at least a significant error, if not a blunder. So um, so again, yeah, the hit and cover um, leaves you in a better position than the cover and step up. Though both of them you're in a fair amount of trouble regardless. So it's the White's position is far better than yours at the moment.
Okay, we'll move on to the next position. So this is move 7, and white rolls. So this is after you selected the what
The
the
hit and
covering, right?
cover. Yeah.
So now white rolls a 5-3, anchors on your 5 point. You roll a 3-1. So what are the
Yep.
options here?
Yep. And so like this is an example of me kind of messing with you by being able to rig the dice. Is that 3-1 is the roll that like makes you really mad that you didn't step up, right? Because now your threes and ones are both blocked on the back end. So this is exactly the one of the roles that you're like we're hoping to not have after the it's a sequence that you really didn't want to have after making the hit and cover play. So um, so this one I think the instinct behind kind of clearing the 9 point is that you want to get some flexibility. You can't really do much with the back checker, and you're not especially trying to trap white necessarily. And when they're anchored on your 5 point, then it's probably too late to try to prime them. So clearing the 9 is the thought behind it would be, well, let me at least get some flexibility and be ready to make some more homeboard points next roll. And I don't want to strip my midpoint because that stripping the mid is often bad. Um, but then the 13-9 is stripping the mid, but it's also the right move because 9 is a blocking point, and there's some value to having a blocking point. So this is another one of where I think somebody could be thinking about this position a little bit off and think that get that extra flexibility is the top priority at the moment. But it's the what you really want is you want to escape that back checker and you want to be bringing things home while white is still trapped on your 5 point. And keeping the blocking point is the way to keep that white trapped on your 5 point. So it's much better to just go ahead and strip the midpoint at this point. So,
And this is the analysis that shows that. It turns out that 6-2 is actually even better than clearing the 9 point.
yep. And so, yeah, this is 6-2 is one of those that, like, I personally would never see. I mean, I kind of see it once I see the bots analysis that, oh, go ahead and just slot another homeboard point. But how much do I want to make the two? So I personally wouldn't find that one. Sometimes I did not use the top two choices, but I would use like the first and the third, or even the first and like the fourth or fifth if they were all fairly close. And I thought one was more believable for a human being than the others. So
Yeah, and this one, like when I look at this, you know you clear the 9 point, and that gives you some flexibility, but it does put 5 checkers on the 6 point, which is a little bit too
yeah.
awkward, especially with the opponent owning your 5 point. Uh, and then on the other hand, you play 13-9, you do strip the midpoint, which is not ideal when you have checkers back, but here there's only one checker back. So I guess the thinking behind 6-2 is at least you don't strip the midpoint and you keep the 9 point. Um, but again, for the reasons that you discussed, the 13-9 is best.
Hmm.
All right, and
Yep.
the third one was when you actually hit and cover, right? Or something like that.
No, this was the this is if you went back to the this position we started with. This is if you went the other direction where you did the cover and step up.
Cover and
So.
step up, right? And now there's a
Hmm.
double four pointing on head, and now you dance, and now it's a take pass decision.
Yep. So this was another, so that was how a lot of the I would say the majority of the paths inside the book end is with you get doubled, and uh, this is one where I think um, um, people could talk themselves into this take. I mean, it's only a 5 point board, and you've got your own 2 point board. All you need to do is roll a 1 6, and then like hit white before they manage to escape, and also cover the blot on your home board. But like if you don't look at this one and think, oh gosh, I've got a drop, I'm a little worried for you. But so this was a little bit of immediate feedback of you went down the wrong path on the last position. Here's a position where you just have to drop. And if you decide to take this, then things get even worse for you. I think that if you have the take, then it just takes you to like, oh, yep, no, that was a big mistake, and you got gammoned or something. So that's how I ended up kind of like closing a lot of the paths that were possible through this course
Yeah,
of the book.
it keeps you from writing a book that never ends.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So
And this is the solution. It's a very, very big pass.
yeah, yeah. If it weren't for the Jacobi rule, it might be too good. I don't know. It's a yeah. It's
Yeah.
borderline without the Jacobi rule at least. So
Okay, so that was great. We got a chance to look inside and see some of the positions, and um, we didn't read the analysis, but you discussed it so people can read your analysis. And I think it's fantastic for anyone who wants a new book or anyone who's interested in reading about backgammon. So now it's available. So
mhm.
where can people purchase it?
Well, there's Amazon, of course. That's kind of the primary place that it's available. But Roberto will have it available at backgammonbooks.com. His initial stock is on the way, so by the time this airs, he might have them available. Carol is going to probably have them on the backgammon a la carte as well, and so there's some of the backgammon specific venues will also have it available, and of course people can always find me if I mentioned I'll be at the Viking and at the Wild West shootout in Denver, and so I'll bring a few copies with me to any ABT events that I go to, and people can always come and visit us in Portland, come to one of our meetups, and we have a great club here. We got consistently we end up with 12 to 24 kind of players at our tournaments, so it's a fun day if you happen to be in the area. So and I'll be bringing copies to those events as well. So
That's great. Congratulations. I'm looking forward to reading the rest of it. And, I have my book on Amazon, and they just make things easy because it's like you don't have to worry about a lot of the things that other publishing methods you would,
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
like distribution. And like I found, like, there's a typo. There's always going to be a typo somewhere. So, like, you find it, you fix it, and then in the next copy, it's corrected.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those already, and sent a copy to Rory, and he like um, texted me and thank you, I've got it. This is great. Did you notice there was a extra line break in the middle of it? I was like, oh my gosh, no! How did you pick that up in like 5 seconds in? Find something that I overlooked. Okay, thank you, Rory. So
It's hard, when I did mine, it took me like say 3 months to write it, but 6 months to proofread it because I had multiple people proofreading and then they were saying this and they were saying that. Did you have people that proofread it?
Oh yeah, yeah. I had a number of guys from my local club that were like my test players, and they gave me some very valuable feedback. And my sister is an author as well, and she like helped me with layout and she caught a lot of things as well. So like I'm like you said, I'm sure there's some things that I've missed, but hopefully nothing significant. It was a definitely if I was doing it again, it would be easier because I would learn from some of my mistakes. I've do things like have all of the position images saved in a directory where like they can be loaded.
I
It's,
know, I
but
know.
yeah, yeah. So many little things that ended up being like, okay, well, I guess I get to do this again for the third time. And but yeah, it's and but overall, I did enjoy the process of creating the book, and learned a lot from the headaches of turning it into an actual product. So
Well, wonderful. This is fantastic. It's a tremendous accomplishment. So I want to congratulate you on that effort and express my gratitude and appreciation for your contributions to the backgammon literature. Re-
thank you. Very kind of you to say. Yes.
Yeah, and I appreciate you joining me for this video. It was great. I got to know about you a little bit more and learn about the book, and I think people will really like it when they start reading the book. Do you have any final comments before we conclude the video?
Well, I hope you're right. I hope people that pick it up will enjoy it. And yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and thank you so much.
My pleasure. We'll go ahead and conclude the video. Thank you again to new backgammon author Mark Danburg-Wyld, author of Rigged Dice. I highly recommend it, and it's available on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. Thank you to the viewers for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe, and you'll be notified every time I upload a new video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, what you'd like to see in future videos, and I'll work on it. Again, if you love backgammon, you can become a member of this channel, giving you exclusive access to the most popular videos. My book, Backgammon Strategies, is available. There's a link in the description of where you can get it. And if you're interested in lessons, please contact me via email. My email address is also in the description. I look forward to seeing you in future videos. Until then, keep rolling your dice.